Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary, and welcome to the early day. Shout out to all of my early risers. So, just a thought in these wee, quiet hours when the mind is very, very clear and quiet, and we can really tap into our own divine, onboard, innate intelligence that each and every one of us was born with. Question. Let's just say, with all of this fright and fear being pumped throughout these screens and the radio waves, let's just say it was the end of the world, right? And we couldn't get to our makeup palettes. What would we do? What would we do if we could not get to our makeup palettes? What if we couldn't get our eyebrows threaded? What if we couldn't get our eyebrows threaded? What if we couldn't get waxed? If we couldn't get our hair removed? Would we lose our minds? What would happen? How would you feel about yourself? What if we didn't have access to mirrors? Would you feel less confident, more carefree? Just an early morning contemplation. I can't get to my makeup brushes. I can't get to my lip liner. I don't have access to my gloss. Now what? Am I no longer worthy as a human being? Do I no longer deem myself attractive? Would I be depressed? I question the narrative of so-called beauty that has been pretty much scripted for us, and it can be peeped in. And I'm not making it bad or wrong. I can appreciate makeup and adornment. However, I just question the conflict of interest when my worth and my value is hanging on a product that I must purchase in order to put on and parade around in front of people. If there were no mirrors, would we need the makeup palettes? If sirens were going off and you got to head for the hills, we're going to be reaching for, our hair pieces and our glue and our lashes and our nail polish remover. Would that really be important? Is the depth of our relationships and who we choose to relate to and who we let into our groups or who we decide to bond with, is it based only on looks? What about health? What about character? What about consistency? What are we basing a choice human being, someone who we would like to spend a good portion of our lives with, whether that's romantic, friends? What are we basing that upon? Are we basing it upon reality TV? Is this even a thought anymore? In your quiet moments, I invite you to consider, who are your top icons who inspire you to get into action around what you say are your core values? Is it based on looks? Is it based on fortitude? Is it based on grit? Is it based on grace? Have you encountered these humans in real life? Have you had a real life interaction with them? Have you seen them under duress when resources are not available? It appears that many of us in the different camps, as we see expressed on this particular platform, YouTube, are frustrated and feeling unchosen. And, the way folks, humans, we're lashing out at each other, it fears we're angry at not being chosen. And chosen for what? Chosen for looks or character? Are we choosing folks primarily for the mask? Are we able to build something? Do we have the grit to finish a project from start to finish? Do we prioritize cultivating the skill set and the ability to manage our words? Honest, but manage our words. Are we able to discern when we are projecting some of our unresolved trauma and insecurities onto other human beings? What if I couldn't get to my lip gloss? What if I couldn't get a retwist? What if my hair that's growing away from the scalp starts peeking out and starts looking dry? We know it's not really dry, but it's not reflecting light like other people's. Now what? Would I lose my job? Seems pretty fear-based. I invite you this early day in these quiet hours. I invite you to, when you have to go into that bathroom and look into the mirror, I invite you to look past the skin and look into your own eyes and quietly see if you can perceive your own essence that is inside of this human suit. No religion, no middleman, no gurus or cults required. I invite you to sit in the throne of your own existence and to examine your presence, the fact that we are presence on this particular earth plane. I invite you to consider that at some point, sooner or later, planned or unplanned, we shall all unzip and step out of these human suits to what we don't really know. And so the amount of suffering projected on us and that we engage with, even if unintentional, a lot of it is mental. And so if you didn't have a mirror, could that potentially alleviate a lot of the insecurities that we project onto each other and that trauma has left many of us with? I invite you to take advantage of the quiet hours to discern the different communications. We put voices on them: ego, God, essence. If you can suspend the labels for a moment and perhaps just perceive what it feels like, these different communications, the judgments, the perception, where do they come from? Are they really mine? Are they really real? And I invite you to consider whether they compromise your ability to really experience the magnificence of this life, being alive, to have lungs and a magnificent human suit, and the birds and nature. I invite you to consider how these things are making you feel. How you feel is really important. The undertone of how you're feeling, where it's coming from, how you feel about yourself and your experience here, where is it coming from? And perhaps this will allow us to put in perspective any kind of trauma we may have experienced so that we can put that chapter on the shelf and write a new chapter and cultivate quiet and being present while we are here in this human suit. I invite you to consider radical self-acceptance, the magnificence of the human suit that we have been assigned at birth. I invite you today to feed yourself the most beautiful, colorful, nutrient-dense, living water-rich, antioxidant rich, peaceful fuel available to you. Whatever that highest optimal fuel is, that is available to you. I also invite you, if you should like, to replay this perhaps while you're cutting vegetables or driving or stretching or decluttering. It's a wonderful, productive use of your time on the internet. Time is the one thing that we can't get back. It's our most precious, one of our most precious resources. If you are interested in exploring whole, fresh living foods as a lifestyle, there's a link to Whole Living Foods in the Hood with menus to fit your budget. If you would like some assistance in a paradigm shift in prioritizing feeding yourself the most optimal, high octane, peaceful fuel available. If any of you should perhaps be struggling with hyperpigmentation and cystic acne, well, perhaps you may want to explore something that we have access to, whole, fresh living foods, right? Allowing our bodies to do what it knows how to do. It knows how to cleanse and build. And having a personal movement practice and whole, fresh foods, actually, products, quote unquote, those whole, fresh foods from the inside and then on the outside are so magnificent, will supersede any kind of product you can imagine. I'm inviting you all to create a great day on purpose just because you said so. Feel free to comment respectfully in the comment section. You can like if you like this kind of content, if you find it valuable, and share it perhaps with someone who could benefit. Create a great day on purpose, and I'll see you soon.